Ethan Adams was the kind of guy everyone noticed, whether he liked it or not. Being the only son of a billionaire wasn't exactly a secret, and neither were his ridiculously good looks. Everywhere he went, eyes followed him like he was some celebrity on a red carpet. At his old school, it was chaos. Girls giggling, boys staring, teachers whispering, and people treating him like he sneezed money. Some even thought taking a selfie with him would boost their social media fame. To them, Ethan was perfect, handsome, rich, untouchable. But to Ethan, it felt like living inside a glass box where everyone watched but no one really saw him. He was tired of fake smiles, forced attention, and people pretending to like him just because of his last name. So when his dad decided to move the family to a new city, Ethan silently threw a party in his heart. A new school, new people, and maybe, just maybe, a chance to be normal for once. No whispers, no followers, no one asking for his number because of his father's company. But deep down, he knew it wouldn't be that easy. You don't just walk into a new school looking like a model from a fashion magazine and expect people to ignore you. Not happening. That's when the idea hit him. What if they never saw his face? Crazy? Maybe. But he was desperate. So on his first morning, he stood in front of the mirror holding a plain black mask, simple, smooth, and mysterious enough to hide the face everyone couldn't stop talking about. He stared at his reflection and smirked. "Perfect," he muttered. "Now maybe I can breathe for once." Sliding it over his face, he took a deep breath and grabbed his bag. This was it. Operation Anonymous. When he walked through the school gates, every nerve in his body buzzed. Students were laughing, shouting, tossing snacks, and running to class like it was a race. He kept his head down, walking quickly, hoping no one would care enough to notice the new guy wearing a mask like he was in some superhero movie. A few eyes turned. Some people whispered. One guy even nudged his friend and said, "Bro, we got Batman in school now." Ethan rolled his eyes. Great. Day one and he was already a meme. His first class was English. He quietly slipped into a seat at the back, trying to blend in with the wall. The teacher, a man with greying hair and glasses that looked too big for his face, began calling attendance. "Ethan Adams?" the teacher asked, scanning the room. Ethan raised his hand slightly without looking up. "Here," he said in a low voice. The teacher gave a small nod and continued. No questions asked, no drama, no one gasping at his name. Finally, the morning went smoother than expected. No one asked him for selfies. No one screamed his name. For the first time in years, Ethan wasn't being treated like a walking bank account. It was weird, but kind of nice. During lunch, he found a quiet corner near the window and ate his sandwich alone. The cafeteria buzzed with laughter and gossip, people swapping stories, playing games, and forming cliques faster than he could chew. Ethan watched them quietly. They all seemed so free. No one cared about being perfect. No one wore masks, well, except him. He told himself the mask was working. It was protecting him, but somewhere deep inside it also felt like a wall that kept everyone out. As the days passed, he realized something uncomfortable. Yes, the mask stopped people from judging him, but it also stopped them from knowing him. No one talked to him. No one sat beside him. No one even tried. He traded fame for silence, and now the quiet was deafening. By the time the final bell rang, Ethan was drained. He walked home alone, his footsteps echoing through the empty streets. The city around him buzzed, cars honking, people laughing, life moving, but he felt oddly disconnected, like watching a movie with no sound. He'd wanted peace. He got it. But now he wondered, what's the point of being invisible if it means being completely alone? He looked at his reflection in a shop window, the mask staring back at him. Somewhere under it was the boy everyone wanted to know, but no one ever truly did. He sighed. "Congratulations, Ethan," he whispered. "You finally disappeared." And just like that, he kept walking, the billionaire's son who wanted to be nobody, but somehow ended up being less than that. When Ethan got home, the house was unusually quiet, the kind of quiet that made every sound echo louder than it should. He dropped his school bag at the door, kicked off his shoes, and dragged himself into the kitchen. The air smelled like heaven. Fried chicken, mashed potatoes, and something buttery that made his stomach growl. His mom, Mrs. Adams, was standing by the stove, humming softly as she stirred the pot. The warmth of the kitchen should have made him smile, but his head was somewhere else. He still had his black mask on, that piece of cloth that made him invisible to the world, or at least that's what he told himself. His mom looked up, smiled, and then frowned a little when she noticed the mask still covering half his face. "Well, there's my mysterious son," she teased gently, setting her spoon aside. "How was your first day of school, Batman?" Ethan gave a weak smile and slumped into a chair. "It was okay," he muttered. That was a lie. The day had been long, weird, and full of awkward stares, but he wasn't ready to talk about it. His mother walked closer, her apron dotted with flour. "You still haven't taken that thing off," she said, tilting her head. "You really plan to keep wearing it?" Ethan sighed and leaned back in his chair. "Yeah, Mom, I need it." "Need it?" she asked, crossing her arms. "Sweetheart, you're not a superhero, and this isn't a costume party." He looked down at his hands, his voice low but firm. "You don't get it, Mom. I'm tired. Everywhere I go, people act like they already know me, just because of Dad's money or my looks. They don't see me, they see some perfect rich kid they can use." His mom's face softened instantly. She knew the struggle. Fame was heavy, and being the son of billionaire Victor Adams came with baggage. "I understand, Ethan," she said softly. "It's hard when people only look at what's outside. You just want someone who sees the real you." "Exactly," he said, nodding. "That's why I'm wearing the mask. I want to find friends who care about who I am, not what I look like or what I have. The mask helps me hide from the fake ones." Mrs. Adams sighed, reaching out to touch his shoulder. "I just want you to be happy, honey. If this mask makes you feel safe, I'll support you, but promise me one thing." "What's that?" "Don't hide behind it forever. The world isn't all bad. You can't really live if you're always hiding." Ethan managed a small smile. "I promise, Mom. Just not yet. I need a little time." She smiled back, deciding to drop it for now. "Dinner's almost ready. Go wash up before I start without you." He chuckled softly, stood and headed upstairs. In the bathroom, he stared at his reflection. The mask stared back. It was strange, seeing only half his face. It made him feel like two different people. The boy the world thought they knew, and the boy who just wanted peace. He splashed water on his face, wiped it dry, and whispered, "This is better, right?" But deep down, he wasn't sure. Later that evening, they ate in silence, just the clinking of cutlery and the hum of the fridge. His mom tried to start light conversation, but Ethan's mind was still stuck on the day. The whispers, the curious glances, and the uncomfortable silence of being the masked kid. When he finally went to bed, he stared at the ceiling, lost in thought. The mask had done its job. No girls throwing themselves at him, no fake friends, but it also built a wall. No one dared to cross it. He wanted peace, and he got it. But why did peace feel so lonely? Still, he told himself it was temporary. One day, he'd take off the mask. One day, he'd stop hiding. But not today. The next morning came too quickly. Ethan threw on his hoodie, grabbed his mask, and walked to school. Same path, same nerves, same curious eyes watching him as he entered the hallway. Most students had already gotten used to the masked guy. Some thought he was weird. Some thought he was deep. Others, mostly girls, whispered theories about a secret scar or a criminal past or witness protection. Teenagers loved drama. And then there was Vanessa. Vanessa Kingsley, daughter of one of the richest men in the city. Tall, polished, and proud. She strutted through the hallways like she owned the school, and honestly, she kind of acted like she did. Vanessa had a talent for looking down on people, literally and emotionally. If you weren't rich, stylish, or useful to her reputation, she didn't even blink in your direction. So when she saw Ethan sitting quietly in the back row, hoodie on, mask covering half his face, she instantly rolled her eyes. Who even wears that in school? She muttered to her friends. What is he hiding? A pimple, his identity. Her friends giggled, feeding her ego like always. By the third day, Vanessa couldn't take it anymore. The mask annoyed her, the mystery annoyed her, and most of all, the fact that Ethan didn't worship her like every other boy, that really got under her skin. So during history class, she made her move. She walked up to his desk, her designer heels clicking like tiny weapons. Two of her friends flanked her, her personal audience always ready to laugh on cue. "Hey, mask boy," she said, folding her arms. "What's with the disguise? You trying to be cool or just hiding your face because it's tragic?" A few students turned to look. The room grew quiet. Ethan looked up slowly, meeting her glare. "Maybe I just like my privacy," he said calmly. Vanessa smirked. Privacy in high school? Please. What are you? A celebrity or something? He said nothing, just stared, calm, unbothered. Her friend snickered. She leaned closer, lowering her voice with fake sweetness. Or maybe you're just broke. Yeah, that explains it. Poor boy trying to hide his face so no one knows he shops at the discount store. Her little fan club burst into giggles, but Ethan didn't react. No flinch, no insult, just quiet strength. Finally, he stood up, his height forcing Vanessa to tilt her chin higher. Think whatever helps you sleep, he said softly but firmly. But I'm not taking this off, not for you. Vanessa blinked, momentarily speechless. No one talked to her like that. Her cheeks flushed, and she quickly flipped her hair. Suit yourself, she snapped, but don't expect anyone important to talk to you. People like you don't last long here. And with that, she turned and strutted off, her friends trailing behind like trained puppies. Ethan sat back down quietly, his heart pounding, not from fear, but from a strange mix of anger and relief. He wasn't going to let a spoiled girl like Vanessa control his life. The mask wasn't for people like her, it was for himself. And whether the school liked it or not, he was keeping it on. The next few days dragged on like a long, boring movie. Everywhere Ethan went, whispers followed him. The masked guy this, the mystery boy that. Some students tried to guess if he was famous, some thought he had scars, and others said he was just doing it for attention. And then there were Vanessa's words, the spoiled queen of the hallways. Her insults still echoed somewhere in his head. Poor boy, hiding his ugly face. Typical. But he refused to give her that power. He had made his choice, and he wasn't taking off that mask. He wanted people to know Ethan, not Ethan Adams, son of billionaire Victor Adams. Just a normal boy, no cameras, no expectations. But peace never lasts long in a billionaire's house. When Ethan got home that afternoon, something felt off. The house was too quiet. No staff rushing about, no phone calls buzzing through the speaker, just silence. He walked into the living room and froze. His father, Mr. Victor Adams himself, was sitting there on the couch, reading a newspaper. That alone was suspicious. The man was always on business trips or video calls. Seeing him home early was like spotting a lion doing yoga. Ethan, his father said without looking up, come here, we need to talk. That sentence never ended well. Ethan sat across from him, bracing for whatever this was about. Mr. Adams lowered the paper and gave his son a calm but calculating look. We'll be having guests this weekend. An old friend of mine, Mr. Carter Kingsley, and his daughter will be joining us for dinner. Ethan shrugged. All right, I'll be there. Should I wear the mask, or are we pretending I'm a normal human this time? His dad ignored the sarcasm. Mr. Kingsley and I have been discussing a potential business partnership. It would mean a lot if you made a good impression. His daughter is your age, and, well, if things go well, it could be the start of something beneficial for both families. Ethan blinked. Wait, what? Are you trying to set me up on a business date? Mr. Adams raised a brow. Don't be dramatic, son. It's just dinner. Think of it as networking, with marriage potential. Ethan groaned. Dad, come on. I don't even know her. What am I supposed to do, fall in love between dessert and the handshake? His father's tone softened, but not much. You're not signing a contract, Ethan. Just meet her. Talk to her. You don't have to decide anything today. He paused, then smirked. And don't worry, I won't show them your photos. You can show up however you want, even with that ridiculous mask. Ethan sighed in relief. Fine, I'll meet her, but please don't expect fireworks. I'm not trying to start a company romance. Good, his father said with a nod. Be polite, that's all I ask. But deep down, Ethan had a weird feeling, like something was about to go terribly wrong. The weekend came faster than expected. Ethan spent the morning pacing around his room, trying to ignore the rising anxiety in his chest. What if the girl was one of those picture-perfect types? Or worse, another money chaser who'd act sweet just to get into his father's good books? The doorbell rang downstairs and his father's booming voice greeted their guests. Mr. Kingsley! Welcome, welcome, and this must be your daughter! Ethan's curiosity got the better of him. He cracked open his door and peeked down the hall. Then he froze. Standing in the foyer, smiling, flipping her hair and pretending to be polite, was Vanessa Kingsley. No. Freaking. Way. The same Vanessa who had mocked him in school. The same Vanessa who called him poor and ugly. The same Vanessa who said no one important would ever be his friend. Of all the girls in the city, this was the one his dad wanted him to meet. "Oh, the universe has jokes," he muttered under his breath, quietly shutting his door. He pulled out his phone and called the one person who could save him. His mom, Mrs. Grace Adams. "Mom," he whispered urgently, "you need to get home right now. Dad's friend is here, Mr. Kingsley, and his daughter is Vanessa. You know, that Vanessa from school. I can't meet her, please. Cover for me." His mom's voice came through the speaker, calm and slightly amused. "Oh dear, don't worry, sweetheart, I'll handle it. Just stay in your room." "Promise?" "Promise. Now breathe. You're acting like she's the villain in a horror movie." "She kind of is," Grace laughed softly. "All right, stay put." A few minutes later, Ethan heard the front door open again. His mom had arrived. Her voice floated through the hall, cheerful and smooth, the perfect cover. "Oh, Mr. Kingsley. Lovely to see you again. I'm so sorry. Ethan went to check on a sick friend this afternoon. He had no idea you'd be arriving early." "Oh, that's unfortunate," Mr. Adams said with mild disappointment. "Yes, truly a shame," Vanessa chimed in, her voice dripping with fake concern. "I was so looking forward to meeting him." Ethan almost choked on air. "Liar!" From his room upstairs, he could hear them chatting, his parents laughing politely, Vanessa pretending to care, and her father talking business like it was a board meeting. By the time they finally left, Ethan collapsed onto his bed with relief. "Crisis averted," he whispered, staring at the ceiling. But peace didn't last. Moments later, the door creaked open, and his father stood there, calm face, unreadable eyes. Ethan froze. Mr. Adams scanned the room slowly, taking in his very much not at a sick friend's son sitting comfortably in bed. So much for Mom's flawless cover story. "You lied," his father said quietly. No anger, no shouting, just disappointment. Somehow that was worse. "Dad," Mr. Adams held up a hand, "we'll talk later." He turned and walked out, leaving Ethan sitting there, guilt crashing over him like a wave. He hadn't just dodged a dinner, he'd disappointed his father. But honestly, between facing his dad's silence and spending an evening with Vanessa, Queen of Ego Kingsley, yeah, the silence was still the better option. The next morning, the sun spilled lazily across the school courtyard as Ethan Adams walked into class, quiet as usual, his face still hidden behind that mask everyone whispered about. He sat at his usual spot, flipping open his notebook, trying to drown himself in his notes. For once, the room was calm. No gossip, no teasing, just silence and scribbling pens, until she walked in. Vanessa Kingsley. The self-crowned queen of drama and sarcasm strutted through the door like it was a runway. The room instantly shifted. Her heels clicked, her perfume floated, and that same smirk of superiority spread across her face. She spotted Ethan immediately and couldn't resist. "Well, well, well," she said, her voice slicing through the quiet. "Look who decided to grace us with his presence, the mysterious masked boy himself." A few students turned, trying not to laugh. Ethan didn't look up. He just flipped a page like he hadn't heard her. "Oh, don't ignore me, darling," she added, leaning closer to his desk. "Still hiding behind that mask? You really think anyone would take you seriously looking like that?" The class tensed. Ethan stayed calm, though his fingers tightened slightly on the pen. Vanessa wasn't done. "You know what's funny?" she continued, tilting her head. "Some people dream big, thinking they could actually matter. But not everyone is born lucky. You, for instance, you're just ordinary. I could never marry someone like you." She flipped her hair dramatically and smiled as she bragged, "My dad says I'll be marrying into one of the richest families soon. Maybe I don't love the guy, but who cares? Money is love, sweetheart. That's what matters in real life." The class went silent. A few students looked uncomfortable. That was when another girl walked in. Someone who didn't usually hang out with Vanessa's kind. Her name was Lydia Moore. She wasn't rich, but everyone respected her. She was smart, fearless, and known for never tolerating nonsense. She paused when she heard Vanessa's last words, then slowly walked closer. "Wow," Lydia said sarcastically, "and here I thought we were in school to learn, not audition for Mean Girls, the rich edition." Laughter rippled across the class. Vanessa spun around. "Excuse me?" "You heard me," Lydia said calmly, arms crossed. "You talk so much about class and money, but it's funny how people with the most always have the least manners." The room went dead quiet. Lydia took a step closer. You keep saying people like Ethan don't deserve respect because of how they look or what they have. But have you ever looked in a mirror? Money might buy clothes, but it can't hide a rotten heart. A few students nodded quietly. Vanessa blinked, caught off guard. And who made you his bodyguard? No one, Lydia shot back. But someone's got to say what's right. You think wealth makes you special? It doesn't. Kindness does. Maybe try that sometime. It's free. Even Ethan's pen froze. He looked up, and though his face was hidden behind the mask, his eyes said it all. Thank you. Vanessa's cheeks burned. She scoffed, tossing her hair. Whatever. I don't waste time on nobodies. And with that, she stormed out of the classroom, heels clicking furiously down the hall. As soon as the door shut, the tension broke. Lydia turned to Ethan with a small smile. Hey, you okay? Ethan nodded slowly. Yeah, thanks. I didn't expect anyone to step in like that. She shrugged. That's what decent humans do. Don't let people like her define your worth. Something about her tone, calm but firm, hit Ethan deeply. From that day on, Ethan and Lydia became close. She didn't care about his mask, didn't pry into his secrets. They studied together after class, laughed between notes, and shared snacks during lunch. For the first time in a long while, Ethan felt seen, not as the masked boy, but as himself. That evening, when he got home, he found his mom in the kitchen making dinner. Mom, he said quietly, sitting by the counter, something happened today. Mrs. Adams turned to him with a warm smile. Good or bad? Both, Ethan said with a small laugh. Vanessa made a scene again, but someone stood up for me. Her name's Lydia. She told Vanessa off, right there in front of everyone. Mrs. Adams' eyes softened. She must be brave. She is, and kind. I want to be honest with her someday, tell her who I really am. His mother reached over, brushing his shoulder gently. Then when you're ready, do it. Anyone who can see your heart before your face is worth keeping. Ethan smiled under his mask. For once the weight on his chest felt lighter. Maybe, just maybe. Not everyone cared about the mask. Maybe someone had finally seen him. The days rolled by quietly, but Ethan Adams couldn't get one thing off his mind, how and when he would finally tell Lydia the truth. Every time she smiled, every time she spoke up for him, it became harder to hide who he really was. And for the first time, the thought of revealing his true identity didn't scare him as much. He knew she wasn't like the others. Lydia cared about who he was, not what he had. But peace never lasted long, not with Vanessa Kingsley around. The next morning at school, Ethan and Lydia were by the window chatting about an assignment when a familiar sharp voice sliced through the hallway. Well, well, look at this. The perfect pair of peas in a poor pod, Vanessa sneered, strutting toward them with her usual air of self-importance. How cute, the masked mystery-born, the scholarship princess. Lydia's cheeks flushed red, her hands tightening around her book. Vanessa, you really should. But Ethan gently placed a hand on her arm. Don't, he whispered. She's not worth it. Lydia inhaled slowly and bit her lip, choosing silence over a fight. Vanessa chuckled mockingly, clearly disappointed that she couldn't stir a scene. Oh, how noble, she said, rolling her eyes. Poor people with dignity, what a concept. She flicked her hair and walked off, laughing with her friends. Ethan looked at Lydia and smiled faintly. Thank you, he said softly, for not letting her ruin your peace. She shrugged, still annoyed. One day someone's going to hand her a mirror, and she'll finally meet her worst enemy. Ethan chuckled quietly. I'd pay to see that. That evening, when Ethan got home, Mr. Victor Adams was sitting in the study waiting for him. Son, he said in his deep business voice, Mr. Kingsley and his daughter will be visiting again this weekend. And let's make sure there's no repeat of last time. Ethan shifted uneasily. Yes, Dad. I'll be polite this time. Good, Mr. Adams said firmly. Remember, this visit is important. Be at your best behavior. Ethan nodded, though his stomach twisted. He had no idea how much chaos this visit was about to bring. By Friday, Ethan tried to distract himself with schoolwork, but Destiny and Vanessa had other plans. It happened so fast. During class, while Ethan was leaning over his notebook, Vanessa strutted up behind him with that mischievous smirk. Let's finally see the face behind the mask, she announced loudly. Before Ethan could react, she snatched the mask right off his face. The classroom went dead silent. Everyone froze, their eyes widened. Under that mask wasn't some scarred or shy boy, but a strikingly handsome face. Strong jawline, soft brown eyes, and calm confidence. He looked like someone straight out of a movie. Even Vanessa's mouth dropped open. For the first time in her life, she had no words. When the bell rang, she waited by the door, looking awkward and fidgety. As Ethan walked past, she stepped in front of him. Ethan, I didn't mean to, you know, she stammered, forcing a smile. I just thought you were, well, different. I didn't expect. Ethan gave her a calm, unreadable look. You didn't expect me to be human? Vanessa flushed. I'm sorry, okay. Maybe we could start over? As friends? Ethan's tone was cool. You insulted me, mocked me, and treated others like dirt. Why would I want someone like you as a friend? Her expression hardened immediately. Fine. I don't need your friendship. I'm marrying into real wealth anyway, she snapped, trying to recover her pride. Ethan crossed his arms. If you're so rich, why do you keep shouting about it? People with class don't have to advertise. Her mouth fell open again, but this time she had no comeback. Furious, she spun on her heel and stormed away. Lydia approached quietly. Ethan, why do you wear that mask anyway? He sighed. You'll find out soon enough. She smiled slightly. I'll wait. And just like that, she walked away, leaving Ethan with a strange warmth in his chest. Sunday came. The Kingsleys arrived at the Adams mansion, and Vanessa nearly fainted when Ethan stepped out of the grand staircase in a tailored suit. Her eyes widened. Ethan, she gasped. He gave a polite nod. Good afternoon, Miss Kingsley. Vanessa's mind spun. Wait, he's Mr. Adams's son? The billionaire's heir? Her jaw dropped as realization hit. The boy she had mocked, insulted, and humiliated in front of everyone was the very person her father wanted her to marry. Inside, she panicked. No way. I can't lose him to that poor Lydia girl. From that moment, she made up her mind. If she couldn't have Ethan's respect, she'd take his title, by force if necessary. The next day at school, Vanessa walked straight up to Lydia, her eyes cold. Let's get one thing straight, she said icily. Stay away from Ethan Adams. Lydia blinked, confused. Excuse me? Vanessa crossed her arms, smirking. You heard me. He's mine. My future husband. Don't even think about coming near him again. Then, with a flick of her hair, she walked off, leaving Lydia standing there in stunned silence. A few minutes later, Lydia found Ethan by the lockers. Ethan, what is going on? Vanessa said something ridiculous. Ethan sighed deeply. I was going to tell you everything. He told her the truth, who he really was, why he wore the mask, how he wanted people to know him for himself, not his last name. Then he looked at her sincerely. Lydia, I don't know how you feel about me, but I'd be honored if you'd consider something more. Maybe one day, marry me? Lydia blinked, caught completely off guard. Then she laughed softly. That's sudden, he smiled. I know, I just needed you to know my heart. She didn't give an answer, just smiled, shook her head gently, and walked off. For the first time in a long while, Ethan was nervous. That night, Ethan went to his father. Dad, he said firmly, I won't marry Vanessa Kingsley. She's arrogant, rude, and selfish. There's someone else I care about, someone real. Mr. Adams raised a brow. And who might that be? Her name's Lydia Moore, Ethan said. She's not from a wealthy family, but she's the kindest, smartest person I know. Mr. Adams frowned. Lydia Moore, a poor girl, he sighed. Ethan, we have reputations to maintain, partnerships to build. You need someone who can strengthen our empire. Ethan's voice was calm but firm. I don't need an empire built on pride. I want love built on truth. Days later, Mr. Adams hosted a massive charity gala at their estate, but chaos struck hours before the event. One of the key organizers fell sick, and no one could handle the crisis. Ethan saw an opportunity. Dad, let Lydia help. She's amazing at organizing. Mr. Adams hesitated. This is not a school project, Ethan. Trust me, Ethan said. Finally, his father sighed. Fine, but if she fails, it's on you. Lydia showed up, rolled up her sleeves, and got to work. Within hours, she turned the mess into magic, coordinating staff, soothing guests, fixing schedules, and still managing to treat everyone, from the waiters to the billionaires, with the same warmth. When the night ended, every guest was impressed. Who's that young lady? One asked. She handled everything flawlessly. Mr. Adams stood in silence, watching her move through the crowd, calm and composed. For the first time, he saw what Ethan saw, grace, intelligence, and genuine heart. Later that night, as they watched Lydia wave goodbye, Mr. Adams spoke softly. You were right, son, he said. Money can buy a lot of things, but not character. Ethan smiled. Told you. And somewhere deep inside, Mr. Adams knew this was no ordinary girl. This was the kind of woman who could change a man's heart and maybe even redefine what true wealth meant. Meanwhile, Vanessa Kingsley was running out of tricks. For weeks she'd been trying everything possible to win back Ethan Adams, the handsome billionaire boy who had suddenly gone cold on her. And honestly, it wasn't because she loved him. No. It was because she had recently discovered something far more romantic, that Ethan's father, Mr. Victor Adams, was one of the wealthiest men in the country. Now, Vanessa wasn't about to lose that kind of opportunity. After all, why marry for love when you can marry into a mansion with servants, bodyguards, and golden spoons, right? So one sunny afternoon, she decided to take matters into her own hands. Without calling ahead, she marched straight to the Adams mansion in her sparkling designer heels, the type that announces your arrival before you even speak. "Good afternoon, sir," she greeted, flashing a smile so wide even the sun would have been shy. Mr. Victor Adams, a calm, well-reserved man, welcomed her politely. He didn't know her well, but since she was his son's classmate, he decided to be friendly. For the first few minutes, Vanessa behaved like a perfect angel. She spoke sweetly, laughed gently, and pretended to be humble. But the act didn't last long. It started when one of the housemaids mistakenly dropped a napkin near Vanessa's feet. Instead of helping, Vanessa wrinkled her nose and muttered loud enough for everyone to hear, "Ugh, people like this shouldn't even be allowed in such beautiful houses." Mr. Adams' eyes quietly lifted. But she wasn't done. A few minutes later, she began bragging about her father's wealth. "My dad just bought a new penthouse in London," she said, twirling her hair. "I mean, not everyone can afford something classy. You know, some people just try too hard to fit in." Mr. Adams smiled faintly. The kind of smile fathers give when they've already seen enough. Vanessa went on and on, boasting about her expensive handbags, her international trips, and how her family didn't do cheap things. She was so busy selling herself that she didn't realize she was digging her own grave. By the time she left, the old man leaned back in his chair and let out a deep sigh. So this was the girl his son had been talking about? No wonder Ethan was looking more confused lately. That night, when Mr. Kingsley, Vanessa's father and a longtime friend of Mr. Adams, called to discuss marriage plans, Victor Adams didn't even waste time. "My friend," he said firmly, "with all due respect, your daughter is not the kind of woman I want for my son." The line went quiet. Mr. Kingsley didn't understand. "But why, Victor? She's beautiful, educated, and from a good home." "Yes," Mr. Adams replied, "but she's arrogant, disrespectful, and blind to the things that truly matter. My son deserves someone who loves him, not his last name." Mr. Kingsley was silent for a while. He didn't argue. Deep down, he knew his daughter could be a handful. Meanwhile, life had other plans for Ethan. He had been growing close to a quiet, hard-working girl from his department named Lydia Carter. Unlike Vanessa, Lydia didn't wear pride like perfume. She treated everyone with respect. Even the school janitor called her Angel. They studied together, laughed together, and before long, friendship turned into something sweeter. As graduation day approached, Ethan had made up his mind. He wanted Lydia, not just because she was kind, but because she saw him for who he was, not for his family's money. And so, on the big day, in front of classmates, parents, and flashing cameras, Ethan got down on one knee. "Lydia Carter," he said with a smile, "I may not be perfect, but my heart has chosen you. Will you marry me?" The crowd gasped, then roared. Lydia, her eyes shining with tears, nodded and whispered, "Yes, Ethan, 1,000 times yes." Everyone clapped, including Mr. Adams and his wife, who stood proudly watching their son make the best decision of his life. From that moment, Lydia was welcomed into the Adams family like a daughter. Mr. Adams, remembering her humility and grace, couldn't help but thank God that his son had escaped the snare of vanity. As for Vanessa, she disappeared faster than last season's fashion trend. When she finally realized she had lost, she quietly packed her pride and moved on. Her name became just a whisper in the corridors of their old school. Ethan and Lydia's wedding was nothing short of magical, not because of luxury, but because of love. Every smile, every vow, every dance was genuine, and as the couple walked hand in hand into their new life, the air was filled with laughter, warmth, and hope. Because when love is real, it doesn't need diamonds to shine. It glows all by itself. Moral of the story: don't chase money, besties. Chase character. Pride might open doors, but humility keeps you inside the house. Hey besties, what did you learn from this heart-touching yet funny tale? Drop your thoughts in the comments, I can't wait to read them. If you enjoyed this story, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our juicy new uploads. Till next time, stay humble, stay kind, and stay blessed.